My boyfriend and I were supposed to move in together. 2 weeks ago, he bought an 87K truck without telling me. I refused to move in with him. I'm really frustrated about this whole situation. We talked a lot about our future plans, like moving in together and even getting married. Then out of nowhere, he goes and buys a truck that costs 2K more than he earns in a year. I mean, I get that you can customize a truck with all these extra features, but 87K? That's a lot of money. He showed me the truck, probably hoping I'd be thrilled, but I was absolutely furious. To make matters worse, this happened just a month before we were supposed to move in together. We ended up having a big argument about it. He said it was his money and he could spend it however he liked. I just wish he'd talked to me about it first. We had plans and goals that we'd agreed on, and this truck purchase feels like a major setback. It's not just about the money, it's about trust and communication in our relationship. I feel like he didn't consider how this would affect both of us and our future together. So I told him I wasn't okay with moving in together anymore. I had to check with my landlord about my old apartment, and luckily it was still available for me to renew the lease. Now my boyfriend is saying he's struggling to afford both his new truck and his place. Honestly, I don't feel guilty about it. He should have thought this through before splurging on such an expensive truck without even discussing it with me, especially after being together for 2 years. It's not just about the money, it's about trust and making joint decisions that affect both of us. If he had talked to me beforehand, maybe we could have found a compromise or a better way to handle our finances together. But now it feels like he's facing the consequences of his own choices, and I can't help but feel like he should have seen this coming. I've had a few of his friends' girlfriends reach out to me, telling me I should be supporting him. One even said that this situation proves I wouldn't stand by him if we were married, claiming I'm disloyal and that I bail when things get tough financially. Honestly, I think that's nonsense. He didn't lose his job or get injured. He just made a big purchase without talking to me about it first. I've been trying to get him to reconsider and return the truck because it's already putting a strain on his finances. He's only had the truck for 2 weeks, and he's already worried that he won't be able to cover his usual expenses in the coming months. I'm not running away from the situation. I'm trying to help him see the reality of his choices. It's not about abandoning him when times get tough. It's about making responsible decisions together. If he had discussed this purchase with me, we could have found a way to make it work without jeopardizing our financial stability. But now he's feeling the pressure, and I'm just trying to support him in finding a solution that doesn't leave us both struggling. This past weekend, we had yet another argument, and I'm really starting to worry that our relationship might be coming to an end. I've made it clear that I'm not going to help him pay for this expensive truck, and I'm definitely not ready to move in with him under these circumstances. It's been a lot to handle, and I've asked for some time apart to really think things through. Taking a break feels like the right thing to do at this point. I need some space to evaluate our relationship and figure out what's best for both of us. It's not an easy decision, but I believe it's necessary for us to find clarity and determine if we can overcome these challenges together, or if it's time to go our separate ways. Edit. I really appreciate all the different opinions and perspectives that everyone has shared with me. It's given me a lot to consider as I try to navigate this situation. To address a couple of questions that have come up. No, he doesn't actually need the truck. He works from home most of the time, and when he does have to go into the office, he has a designated workspace there. So the truck isn't a necessity for his job. It was more of a personal choice. As for his friends and their girlfriends knowing about our issue, he actually brought it up with them during a get-together we attended last week. He was seeking their opinions on the situation, which is why some of them are aware of what's going on. Out of all of them, only 2 girlfriends reached out to me to express their concerns that I wasn't being supportive. The rest have chosen to stay out of it and mind their own business, which I appreciate. It's a sensitive matter, and it's good to know who I can count on for unbiased advice and who respects our privacy enough not to get involved. Update. So I ended up breaking up with him, mainly because I came to realize that we just weren't financially compatible. Before diving into the details of what led to this decision, I want to clarify a few things. I understand that we weren't married, but we were planning to move in together and had numerous discussions about our future plans, including the possibility of marriage. To those who have been sending me private messages saying things like, "It's his money, he can do what he wants," or "You've only been together for 2 years, you're not his wife," I get it. I've never pried into his finances or tried to control his spending. I respect that it's his money to manage as he sees fit. However, what bothered me was that he was making significant financial decisions without consulting me. These choices not only impacted his own financial stability, but also had the potential to affect our relationship and our joint financial future. We had talked about making plans together, and when someone makes a major decision without considering their partner, it creates a trust issue for me. I firmly believe that if we're making financial plans together, then we should be making major financial decisions together as well. I wouldn't have made a choice like buying an expensive truck without discussing it with him first. So for those reasons, I decided to step back from moving in with him. It's not about trying to control his money. It's about wanting transparency, communication, and mutual respect when it comes to our financial lives. If someone isn't willing to include me in those decisions, especially when they have long-term implications for both of us, then I have to question the foundation of our relationship. The main reason we decided to move in together was to take our relationship to the next level and also to tackle our debts. When we first met, I was carrying a hefty debt of around $60,000, mostly from student loans and credit card expenses. I was basically living off my credit cards, struggling to keep up with payments. However, after I started dating him, I noticed how hard he was working to manage his finances. With a salary of $85,000, he was making significant progress in paying off his own loans and credit card debt. It was really inspiring to see how dedicated he was to improving his financial situation, and it gave me hope that we could work together to achieve our financial goals. Over time, I've managed to reduce my debt to $22,000, thanks in part to his influence and encouragement. Moving in together felt like the logical next step, not just for our relationship, but also as a way to combine our efforts in paying down our remaining debts more efficiently. So our decision to move in together wasn't just about taking the next step in our relationship. It was also a strategic move to support each other in becoming debt-free. We both understood the importance of financial stability and were committed to helping each other achieve our goals. At the time, I was earning around $50,000, which made me even more impressed by his strong work ethic and determination to get his finances in order. Seeing his commitment inspired me to get serious about tackling my own debt. So I took on a second part-time job, which added another $32,000 to my annual income, bringing my total to $82,000. I took on this extra job not only to speed up my debt repayment, but also to ensure that when we moved in together, we'd be on more equal financial footing. I didn't want him to feel like he was shouldering a disproportionate share of our living expenses, especially considering he still had some debt to pay off. Before taking the big step of moving in together, we sat down and did a thorough budget analysis. We wanted to make sure we had a clear understanding of our combined income, expenses, and how much we'd each have left over for personal spending. After crunching the numbers, we realized that each of us would have an extra $700 a month to put towards our individual budgets. This budget planning gave us both peace of mind and reassured us that we were making a smart decision in moving in together. It also reinforced our commitment to supporting each other in our financial journeys and working together towards a debt-free future. The purchase of the truck really caught me off guard, especially since we had spent months planning our move and sticking to a budget. We had put so much effort into aligning our finances and ensuring that we could comfortably afford our new life together. The truck purchase seemed to throw all our careful planning out the window. Given the extra $700 monthly surplus we had budgeted for each of us, there were plenty of car options available that would have fit within that budget. So when he opted for such an expensive truck, it was a shock to both our plans and our budget. In the days leading up to our breakup, he tried to convince me that buying the truck wasn't a financial misstep. He insisted that he had actually budgeted for it, and even offered to show me how he could still afford it without jeopardizing our plans to move in together. Curious and hoping for some clarity, I went over to his place to hear him out. To my surprise, he presented me with two different budgets. It was clear that he had put some thought into this and was trying to make a case for his decision. However, seeing those budgets side by side only made me more skeptical about the financial implications of his purchase. I wanted to believe that he had everything under control, but the reality was that his decision to buy the truck had already created a rift in our carefully planned financial future. It was a difficult situation, and despite his efforts to justify the purchase, I couldn't shake the feeling that it was a significant setback to our shared goals. He told me he'd been thinking about getting this truck for a while, and that he'd even worked out a budget in advance. He showed me the first budget, which accounted for the truck payment, insurance, other monthly expenses, and his existing debts. After all those deductions, he was left with just $115 for the entire month. I quickly noticed some glaring omissions in that first budget. He hadn't included essential expenses like groceries, gas for his car, his hobbies, or even any discretionary spending for going out. I couldn't help but wonder how he planned to live off of just $115 for an entire month with all those other expenses still to consider. When I questioned him about it, asking how he could afford to cover all these costs along with the truck payment, he insisted that he didn't plan to give up anything and that he could make it all work within his budget. I pressed him further, asking what he would do in case of an emergency or if he needed gas for his truck. He kept repeating that he would work it out without providing any concrete details or solutions. Feeling uneasy about the situation, I asked to see the documents related to the truck purchase. That's when I discovered the truck's total price was $95,000, including taxes, registration, and fees. He had traded in his reliable 2003 Toyota and used all his savings to secure a loan at a whopping 14% interest rate for 72 months. His monthly payments for the truck alone amounted to $1,966, with an additional $573 for insurance. On top of all this, he still had significant student loans to pay off. I kept trying to explain to him that having only $115 left over each month was not enough to cover all his other expenses and debts. It was clear that his purchase had put a serious strain on his finances, and I was concerned about how this would impact both of us moving forward. He then presented me with this second budget, which showed a higher combined monthly income. I was puzzled and asked him if he had picked up a second job to boost his earnings. He replied that due to the demands of his first job, which required him to be on call, taking on another job wasn't feasible for him. When I pressed him about where this extra income was coming from, he dropped a bombshell. "Well, you're getting a raise soon." I was taken aback because I had casually mentioned the possibility of a raise a few months prior. My main job is in a career field where reaching certain milestones typically results in a pay increase. If my raise gets approved come September, my salary would jump from $50K to $80K. When combined with my second job, my annual income would reach around $112K. However, this raise isn't set in stone. It's contingent on meeting specific criteria, and if I fall short, I'll have to wait another 3 months before I can reapply for it. His revelation left me speechless for a moment. Finally, I managed to gather my thoughts and responded, "So you've planned a budget that includes additional income that I won't even be getting for at least another 6 months, and that's assuming I get the raise in September." He nodded, explaining that once I received my raise, his share of the expenses would decrease, giving him more disposable income. Feeling frustrated, I asked him why he felt it was okay to include my potential future income in his budget without even discussing it with me. He was at a loss for words. I tried to make it clear that I wouldn't mind contributing more to our shared expenses if I did indeed get a raise, but it was the fact that he had banked on it without my knowledge or consent that bothered me. I pointed out that his first budget, with only $115 left over each month, was clearly unsustainable. He hadn't communicated any of this with me, and now he expected me to just go along with his financial decisions. I told him that this lack of communication was on him. We should have been discussing these major financial plans together as a team. In conclusion, I emphasized that I would never have made any of these decisions without consulting him first. I believed we were a team working towards building a shared future, and his unilateral actions had shaken that belief to its core. The next day, I made the difficult decision to end our relationship. Since then, he's been trying to reach out and mend things, but I'm just not interested. His decision to buy that truck has put him in a tough financial spot. Even with my current income factored in, he was barely scraping by, and there's no way he'll manage on his own. I genuinely hope he finds a way to keep the truck and bounce back from this financial setback, but I can't bear the burden of such a massive financial mistake that's going to impact him for years to come. If I were to stay, this decision wouldn't just affect him. It would continue to have repercussions on both of us for a long time. This situation is different from unexpected challenges like illness or job loss. He made a conscious choice to buy that truck without considering the long-term consequences, and he's unwilling to make any changes to rectify the situation. It's become clear to me that we're not financially compatible, and that's okay. It's a tough realization, but it's better to acknowledge it now rather than face more significant issues down the road. I genuinely wish him all the best and hope he learns from this experience, but I can't be a part of a relationship where financial decisions are made without mutual consideration and communication.